Hi, I'm Katika Roy, founder and CEO of Pipeline. Welcome to today's edition of the Brave Souls Q&A. Today we are going to check in with companies and the progress they are making toward fulfilling their diversity, equity, and inclusion pledges. You asked, what's the status of the companies that recently pledged support for diversity, equity, and inclusion? Are they making progress? Companies are making progress toward their DEI pledges. It's slow, but it's progress nonetheless. Now, before we look at how progress has materialized over the past year, we need to remember that in the United States, no centralized system exists to hold companies accountable for their intersectional human capital equity data. In other words, the DEI disclosures we have access to are voluntarily collected and released. So here's what we know based on research conducted by the Workforce Disclosure Initiative. First, the number of companies submitting DEI data increased by 20% year over year. 141 companies disclosed in 2020 versus 118 companies in 2019. That's an improvement. Second, the amount of data submitted by companies also increased year over year. In 2020, companies submitted 61% of the requested data, whereas in 2019, companies submitted only 40%. That's also an improvement. Okay, now here's where things haven't improved. First, 98% of companies pledge to increase their workforce diversity, but only 75% disclosed the gender breakdown of their employee base, and only 36% disclosed the racial and ethnic breakdown of their employee base. Second, more than half, 57% of companies provided gender pay equity data, but only 4% provided racial and ethnic pay equity data. Third, and is this, nearly all companies, 96%, stated their policies on discrimination and harassment, but only 41% disclosed the number of discrimination and harassment cases reported in their workplaces. So what does this data tell us? Two things. One, the number of companies disclosing their diversity data is increasing. And two, the gap between committing to DEI and disclosing DEI data still exists. Since data transparency and accountability are key to closing the intersectional gender equity gap, we need more companies to disclose their intersectional human capital data if we want to make progress toward equity for all. That's it for today. If you have questions about today's topic, please send me a message. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, be brave.